What this Golden State Warriors franchise is doing in today's modern day NBA is something I'm not sure many people understand just how incredible it truly is. The Golden State Warriors have officially clinched their spot in the team's 6th NBA Finals appearance in their last 8 seasons after defeating the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games. This level of dominance by a franchise is something that will be talked about for years to come, as it very closely resembles the efforts of a peak Jordan-era Bulls franchise and LeBron's infamous run of 8 straight finals appearances, 2 of the greatest spans of play our sports world has seen in recent memory. On top of what this group has already accomplished in the last 8 seasons alone, in a league that is arguably as competitive as it has ever been, this streak was interrupted by 2 shortened COVID seasons that could very well have seen the Golden State Warriors make it to 8 straight appearances with the talent they had on their roster, if you exclude some of the unfortunate injuries they had to endure. Because of these 2 seasons and multiple trades along the way, this allowed this group to bolster up their roster, making their contention back to the finals an extreme reality, adding multiple top draft picks to their arsenal, who are now looking to be very capable to carry the reins of the franchise well past the era of Steph, Clay, and Draymond, while also still being large counterparts to the successes today. This is a team that is set up to not only be capable of winning the whole thing this year and for the next couple of years, but the young guys this team is developing right now all seem to have some sort of star potential in their bags in different ways, and I'm talking specifically about James Wiseman, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody. Looking back at this season in the future, some people may say that this is the start of another Warriors dynasty looming in the shadows, but taking a glance at it from the outside, especially if the Dubs end up winning it all this year, many people would have a strong argument that this season was simply a continuation of that same dynasty that dominated the league for many years, especially considering that this could wind up as the team's 4th NBA title this decade. The balance of talent, both old and new, is something that I'm not sure has ever been done to this magnitude, as the trio of Steph, Clay, and Draymond is one that will be talked about as one of the greatest tandems in modern sports history, and them alone is good enough to compete for a championship, as we have seen them do it multiple times in years past. Those 3 guys playing at similar levels to their primes, obviously other than Clay, who's been playing great, but you can just tell that he's lost some athleticism due to the terrible injuries he suffered, so he has every right to an excuse, but all of them are playing alongside some of the brightest young stars in the NBA, and this team on paper will go down as one of the greatest rosters in NBA history. And when I mean on paper for this circumstance, obviously guys like Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moody aren't remotely close to their primes, but when their careers wind down and they reach their full potentials, that's exactly what I'm talking about if you look at all of these guys on the roster together. This is the most special team in the NBA, who in my opinion is the favorite over both the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, depending on who wins that matchup, as I don't think anyone could compete with this group, especially as they've slowly been coming together at the perfect time, arguably playing their best basketball of the season, and I think a lot of people can agree on that. It is a picture-perfect ending in which, frankly, as I've alluded to many times, just this video is most likely just the continuation of a dynasty that could seek their domination over the league for many more years to come, but I think heading into the NBA Finals, this team has all of the momentum on the planet to go out there against whoever and come away as the 2022 NBA champions. It all starts with the greatest Warrior of all time, a man that had practically been through it all, with all of his ups and downs over the years, being a part of one of the greatest teams of all time with Kevin Durant, then to a team where practically everyone was saying they could never reach that level again after the 2019 season. Stephen Curry makes everything that this team has achieved possible. He came out of the mud with this group once their team fell apart and never looked at any other avenue other than being a leader on this team, and put the work in to get back to the position that they were once in, and look how that turned out for him. He could have very well left this team once KD left and Clay went down, and everyone would have understood where he was coming from, since the team looked to have a massive rebuild ahead of them, but he never left his guys behind. He's still the best player among this group, and because of this perseverance, this most definitely won't be the last finals appearance under his belt with how this team is currently constructed, and it's to the point where near the end of his career, I could also very well see him take a pay cut so that this team could pay all the other young stars, and he could retire with the franchise, as he honestly deserves to be a part owner at this point, but at the same time, they'd still be competing for championships with all of the potential that they have on the come up. Klay Thompson is another guy where you can be nothing but ecstatic for the guy, with everything he overcame over the years to get to this point again, as his return was one of the biggest biggest headlines all season, and to see him perform at a high level again, competing for his dream alongside his best friends, is a sight so many people could get used to, since he deserves every ounce of success this season, as he too could have gave up at any moment. And not to mention, to bring this story around full circle, Clay was the leading scorer in last night's game with 32 points, leading his team into the finals, which is a special moment in itself, and you could just tell how emotional he got after the win to show just how special all of this has been for him. And lastly, out of the core that has been there since the start, you have Draymond Green and Steve Kerr, who are two guys that have mutually played massive roles in keeping this team together and also reconstructing it to the point where it's at right now and completing this masterpiece of a story. Draymond has instilled himself as not only one of the best defenders in the NBA, but has also given the Warriors a backbone over the years that they could rely on when things looked rough. As everyone knows, he's never been the guy to grab any of the pretty headlines or have monstrous scoring nights, but he's been able to constantly be that piece that holds down the fort on defense, creating a much needed grit and grind atmosphere that bleeds into the rest of the roster and keeps everyone locked in at the perfect moments. And it goes without saying that his role has been crucial. Like Draymond, Steve Kerr does not get nearly enough credit for his evolution of being the coach of this team, as this team has had to make massive adjustments throughout the years in terms of their players, and what shouldn't go unnoticed is what Kerr did, bringing in new guys to the coaching staff and evolving the Warriors game plan both offensively and defensively to accommodate more than just the top end talent of the team. And with that, it has allowed for new guys to step up and has allowed this monster of a lineup to flourish right in front of our eyes. He modernized their playbooks to their new group, bringing new levels both offensively and defensively, changing the way the team defended, running more pick and rolls and things like that to ensure that they were more team oriented heading into the playoffs. And obviously so far, this new style of coaching surely has paid off, and this was all while doing a phenomenal job of making changes without sacrificing the Warriors philosophy, going back to the Warriors motion oriented offense, which was originally their roots. With that has brought in the emergence and importance of Kevon Looney, Jordan Poole, and Andrew Wiggins this playoff run, a group of guys where if I told you they were huge reasons as to why this team made it to the NBA Finals, you would have called me crazy at the beginning of the year. All three of these guys' roles cannot be overstated, as in this series alone, Wiggins' defense on Luka was remarkable, and without him and that level of play defensively, who knows if they would have beat the Mavs. That's how good he was. And Looney likewise had woken up at the perfect time to give his team the edge at center, where in the last 6 games he's practically outperformed his entire season, and there's no exaggeration in that. And then lastly, Jordan Poole has easily deserved the award for the 6th man of the playoffs, and I'm confident will one day take the keys of this team offensively. With all of that being said, the Golden State Warriors are once again waiting for their opponents to be set in either the Miami Heat or the Boston Celtics, which will begin next week. Luckily enough for them, they have exactly a week to prepare for the finals, and it's already confirmed that Gary Payton will be returning to this series, which is huge for the team, and this gives time for both Iggy and Otto Porter for them to hopefully make the returns as well. I have extremely high hopes for this Warriors team winning the whole thing, with Andrew Wiggins being the X factor of this group, as his emergence is going to be huge for the Dubs, being that he's most likely going to be the guy to either guard Tatum or Jimmy based on his play that he just displayed on Luka. As for my predictions in this series, I'll be making a video on that later with a full breakdown of both teams once the matchup is set. But as for the Warriors, this finals appearance is huge for so many guys a part of this roster. Both the young core and old, they will remember this season, as it truly was almost impossible to forget, and they still have so much left to prove in just a couple of days. Let's see if the Warriors have what it takes to cement their names in the history books and become champions of the NBA once again.